So I was going to bring my Starlink on this trip, but I don't. Oh, hey, look, little mini trucks. It's cool. Squirrel. I was going to bring the Starlink, but I don't really have enough pack space in all the stuff I have here. I brought too many other things. I got a new Anker, what do they call it? Solix C200X or something like that. And it came with a solar panel. So it's like a 196 watt hour lithium iron phosphate battery pack. It's got, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 some odd USB outputs. It's only USB, so it's USB-C and USB-A. It doesn't have a 12-volt output, but it does have an XT60 input for solar panels, and it came with a 60-watt fold-up solar panel, and I tested it, and it works. It really works. I had kind of, I wouldn't say full sun, you know, because the sun was low in the sky yesterday when I hooked it up. But I was getting 48 watts out of that 60-watt panel. So, hey, that's great. Bright, you know, noon sun, you know, clear sky. I'll bet that thing will pull pretty close to 60 watts. So that's awesome. And when I unboxed the Solix, the battery was at, was it 78%? Just, you know, shipping, whatever. And I plugged it in out there in the driveway and started messing with the app to link it up to my phone and all that, and the Bluetooth app. And it went from 78 to 100% in, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. I couldn't believe it. Like, wow, this thing's really charging. This is great. And it's on an Amazon special right now. 139 or 129, sorry, something like that, for just the battery, or 159 for the battery and the solar panel. Wow. Okay, so 20 extra bucks for the solar panel. Let me think about that for a second. Yes. Buy now. Amazon dropped it off 2 days later, and that was yesterday, so got it just in time for this trip. So anyway, it's in the back there. And with all my other sleep gear and all the, you know, the junk that I brought with me, I didn't have enough room to put my Starlink Mini in there. But I did test the Starlink Mini in my driveway using that Solix, and with even moderate sun, it's capable of keeping the battery at 100%, no problem. So the Starlink was pulling 17, 18 watts, something like that. I think I'm going to get up here with the boys. So the Starlink was only pulling somewhere between 16 and 20 watts. It varies up and down. When you first boot it up, it pulls 35, 38 watts, something like that, and then settles in. So yeah, it could easily, that battery pack that I got can easily run the Starlink and my laptop or whatever else for doing remote streaming. So that's cool. I think that's going to go with me on Cannonball. I don't know that I'll be carrying it on the Scoot. It'll probably live in our support vehicle, the van that I'll be getting soon. But that will give us a reliable way to stream from the road. So wherever we stop, you know, the campsites, hotels, whatever, I won't be dependent on the cellular reception in the area, because it's up and down and up and down. I still have my Google Fi phone that I got for Cannonball 2 years ago, and I never did change the plan. It's still set on an unlimited plan, so I'm paying whatever it is, 59 bucks a month or whatever that works out to be. But I was not all that successful or pleased with the coverage of either my Verizon or the Google Fi. So I thought, okay, well, Verizon's usually good. That should be great, you know, whenever I'm in town. But out in the middle of nowhere, or whenever there's no Verizon coverage, I should be able to fall back on the Google Fi. It did not work that way. I was not very successful in getting anything better than low 4G coverage in most of the places that we were throughout the trip. So my hopes and aspirations of streaming on location and doing all that kind of went down the toilet, but that's all right. It is what it is. It's a road trip, and the video production is secondary. So hopefully with the Starlink, it will be better. Once I got a clear view of the sky, it should work. I did some bandwidth tests there in my driveway, and I was getting up and down. It wasn't really consistent, but it was about 106 to 120 megabits down, and it varied from 8 to 19 megabits up. I think it's the highest I saw was about 19 megabits. It would go higher, you know, it'd be up in the 23, 24 range, but then, you know, by the time the test was done, it settled back to a little under 20, like somewhere between 16 and 18 was kind of the average. The low was like 8. So that should still be sufficient for a 1080p stream out in the middle of nowhere. So my next task is I'm going to re-engineer my remote streaming rig like I did for Cannonball last time. I was able to kind of jump in and out of the live stream that I ran last time, that long duration live stream. I was running OBS Studio on my editing station that I placed at a client site, one of my clients that has a multi-gigabit fiber connection, so it's very fast and very reliable, and you know, it's in a server room with HVAC and power and all that, so that kind of took my home internet connection and potential unreliabilities out of the picture. So anyway, I'll probably do that again, but whew, man, that's windy. Oh my god. I'm riding at 45 degrees here. The SRT streaming protocol I was wanting to do for 23 Cannonball and just didn't have time, but now there are a few hardware options that are somewhat affordable. Blackmagic design, their ATEM Mini Pro ISO have SRT streaming capability in a hardware platform, so it makes things a whole lot easier if you're going to go with a hardware video switcher, because it lets you blend two cameras. You can bring in a computer feed for graphics, whatever you want, but it can stream out SRT. Woo! Woo! It's windy out here. Oh my god. I'm getting blown over the road. Oh man, this is 40 miles an hour from right there, diagonal. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. Derailed. Oh yeah, so SRT. So it can, the Blackmagic, and there's a couple of others that I've been looking at, but the ATEM Mini is kind of what I'm looking at. I can bring in a couple of cameras, a computer feed, and then set it up to stream to a remote SRT server, and that would be my OBS instance running, you know, in the data center somewhere. And that way we can drop in, drop out wherever we are, and the SRT protocol handles the variable latencies, and it's a lot leaner and meaner, and it's a lot more fault tolerant for interruptions than the H.264 and other streaming protocols, RTMP, stuff like that. So anywho, long story short, long technical discussion, but it should allow us to do some stuff from the road, and potentially I can hook up the chase van or support van with a couple of cameras, you know, GoPros or whatever, run those into the ATEM Mini and have live vehicle coverage, you know, in motion. Because I'll stick the Starlink Mini up in the sunroof of the van, so it'll have a clear view of the sky. Hopefully it works in motion. We'll find out. It's supposed to. And we can have kind of live streaming stats, you know, where the van is, live camera feeds, and if he's chasing behind us, you'll see us. He being my son, our support driver. So, yeah. And then when we get somewhere on location, I can, you know, hook up another camera or switch the feeds over, whatever, and have time to do interview and face-to-faces and all that. It'll be fun. My own little redneck poor man's broadcast truck. I've been going down the rabbit hole of all the video gear, you know, the high-end video production stuff, video switchers and keyers and chroma keys and all this stuff. And, you know, there's it's changed so much since I was dabbling in it a decade ago. You know, it was all hardware back then. You can do a lot of it in software now with OBS and other more professional tools, but there are certain things that just work better, especially remote stuff in the hardware keys, because you don't have as many variables to fail. You know, you just turn it on and it's configured and it runs. That's it. You go turn it on, hit go live or record, and you're on the air. So I don't know. We'll see. Certainly not going to be buying $5,000 or $10,000 worth of video gear. Hell no. Just the Starlink Mini and the power station, remote power station for on-location stuff that I've already paid. Man, I'm already getting close to $1,000 right there. It's about as much as I want to spend. And if there's any more cameras that I need to buy, it's going to add to the total. So I don't know. Trying to reuse what I've got, get the best bang for the buck. I do want to gamify the Cannonball ride this year, though. I want it to be as much live, real time, which is what I was hoping to do back in 23, but technology and the money just wasn't there. You know, it was expensive to do this stuff. But I think this year I can probably do it. We'll see. Be able to get some live interaction, and when there are route options, have people say, okay, go this way or go that way. Do it in real time. Now, I won't be able to monitor a screen, you know, for chat or any of that stuff while I'm riding, most likely. Not smart, anyway. But we can probably have somebody remote, a remote video producer, tuned in and watching the live stream and, you know, catching comments off of YouTube and Discord, things like that, you know, tie it all in. And that's the flexibility of running OBS. It's kind of the aggregator and the actual streaming side of it. You know, have the remote cameras talking, you know, SRT or whatever, you know, mobile phones, anything, talking back to home base, and then switch it all there and send it out. And that also keeps the live feed going even when we drop out of coverage, whether it's cellular or Starlink or whatever. The stream is still alive because the one that's doing the actual broadcast is connected, so the stream won't just go die. Yep. So I don't know if anyone else is going to ride with my son. I need to put the feelers out there and see who wants to be on the road for 3 weeks. But if there's another person in the chase van, then that opens up possibilities for, you know, communication, live tracking, video production, all that kind of stuff on the road. If it's just him, then he's going to have to focus on the road. I will most likely modify a, you guys can see it over here, I'll modify a Cardo. I've got two or three extra Cardos. I have one of the newer Edge like this, and then a couple of the previous ones, but I'll probably modify one of these bases and hook it into the stereo system of the van, so he can switch over to aux, you know, Bluetooth in, whatever, and I'll put a microphone, you know, above the driver's sun visor or something like that, and he should be able to talk and get the audio back out through the stereo of the van, so we can be in communication in real time when he's close enough. You know, if he's within 1,000 feet line of sight, you know, or 1,000 meters, whatever it is. No, 1,000 feet, I think. Quarter mile, let's say. And then I'll probably be running with GMRS radio, handheld, maybe Bluetooth in through my headset or something like that, but we'll put a GMRS mobile in the van, so it'll give us longer range if we're further apart. And then, of course, there's cell phones for the, you know, cell phones as secondary, probably GMRS for tertiary backups. Hey, look, little Indian paintbrushes growing out here. Kind of early, but oh no, I guess it's April. It's about time. We're going to be getting into bluebonnet season. It's just been so cold and weird weather this year. A couple of the guys, Patrick and his buddy, I feel so bad I can't remember his name. I've only talked to him a couple times, that's why I can't commit his name to memory. But Patrick and his buddy were running on ADV 150s. They did in 21 as well. They slightly modified their bikes, but they were running GMRS, and they had little mounts, you know, antenna stubs hanging off the back of their racks, and they kept the radios powered up by the bike battery, and they were under the seat, and they didn't ever change channels. They just stayed on the same channel. But he said they were able to do bike-to-bike communication for 2 or 3 miles, you know, variable terrain. Line of sight, it would be longer than that. You probably get 5 to 10 miles on most GMRS handy-talkies, but they were expensive ones. I can't remember what brand they had. I think they were the Anytone 787 Pro or something like that, but it's the nice ones that are not your average Baofeng or whatever. They're heavy-duty ones, so 280 or 300 bucks each. Not as good as Yaesu's and stuff like that, but you know, Yaesu doesn't really play in the GMRS realm legally anyway. They're more amateur radio, and that's another option is amateur radio. I thought about doing APRS trackers, set it up on each bike with a little Raspberry Pi and a APRS hat and all that, and just have it broadcasting location data every minute or something like that, and we can track all that on a map in real time. But I think I'll probably go with more commercial GPS trackers like the SysApp and other tools that are already built, and they talk over cellular, so less tinkering in the background to get those to work. Anyway, brainstorming. Bored on the road. Got to talk about something, right?